Yo, what's going on, my dear brothers and sisters? Welcome to the study of stuff. What an episode I got for you. Telling you, every time I've said it, I've delivered, and yet here's another great conversation with Thea. First of all, may I say, if Father Justin and Matushka watch this, may I say something that you probably already know? What a magnificent young adult you've raised. Thea really gives me hope for the future of Orthodoxy. She's just magnificent. You'll see that in this interview. Very articulate, makes a lot of amazing points. Really got me thinking. Since we've had the conversation, I've thought about a lot of the points she made, quite a lot actually, as a father. We talk about the responsibility of being an Orthodox Christian and what that means, and how important it is for us to exemplify the things that we believe in, and to show other people how that's done through our actions. We talk about the importance of dances and what that means to us as humans and as Orthodox Christians. And we really make an emphasis on the importance of having events and creating community and connection, fellowship with young adults, and how important that is, and that those are crucial years, those young adult years, where often people kind of veer away from the church a little bit. And she makes a really great point about how important it is to kind of create environments, spaces where people kind of connect more with the church life and the community, and how important it is because they're raising the next generation of Orthodox children. And the stronger that bond is, the stronger our church is and the future is. We covered quite a few other subjects. I don't want to mention them too much right now because you're going to see it in a second. Her conference that's going to be happening in October in Denton, Texas, is a must for a lot of us. I know I will be there. And she really speaks on the importance of this conference and how it fits in with being a young adult and connecting. Word to Big Bird. Have a great day. We're live. Thea, how's it going?
It's great. It's going really well. Thank you.
Are you feeling? I'm pretty good. I was going to ask you if you're feeling a little bit nervous.
Yeah, just a little.
Well, don't. Honestly, I like having like free-form conversation, and sometimes the nervous part makes for a good conversation. So don't feel nervous. Be chill, and we're gonna even this intro, like, this is an awkward, weird way to start a show, but that's how I like doing it. It sets up for an interesting convo. Okay.
Good.
Okay, so you are Thea Frederick, correct?
Yes.
And you're the daughter of a Father Justin at St. Maximus the Confessor, which I consider my parish, although I'm not in Texas as of yet. I've been there a bunch of times. I love St. Maximus the Confessor from the bottom of my heart. Yeah. And I think it's an important place. Denton, Texas is an important place. So I'm very excited to talk to you. It kind of feels like I'm talking with someone part of the community that I will probably be a part of once I get to the chance to actually move there. So I just wanted to set it up that way.
Yeah, that would be great. We look forward to having you.
Awesome. I think we've met once. I think.
Yes, I think so. I think Germanus introduced us.
Yeah. I think he went out of his way, which is very Germanus. You know.
Yes, it is. It is. He's great at that.
He is. Okay, so I wanted to start off kind of talking about, let me frame it this way. First of all, you're the first cradle Orthodox I've had on the show.
Wow.
And because everyone I'm talking to is a convert. I'm cradle myself, so we can kind of compare some notes.
Yeah, exactly.
As well as you're the daughter of a priest, so that must be an interesting experience in itself. So
yeah,
I'm going to set this up in a weird way. Can you just go any direction you want? Delve into, being raised by a priest, by an awesome priest. May I say, Father Justin is one of my favorite human beings on the face of this planet.
Me too.
He's just awesome. He really is. And so that, as well as being raised cradle in an American society where I'm sure when you were growing up, they're like, Orthodox what? Like, are you Orthodox Jewish? What's going down?
Oh yeah, we got that. Yeah.
Okay. So take it any direction you want.
All right, perfect. Let me let the dog in. She is scratching at the door.
Yeah, no problem. I'm probably gonna leave that in there. I'm not editing that out.
Shout out to Daisy.
Daisy.
Daisy the dog. I know. Okay. Yeah. I mean, there's so much that can be said
Hmm.
about that. Um, First of all, when I think about it, I truly cannot, you know, comprehend how blessed I am to have been raised Orthodox, and not only raised Orthodox, but raised by a really, really good priest and
Hmm.
matushka, and with wonderful siblings and a beautiful home dynamic. I just think of all the people who had to really like fight their way into the church, tooth and nail, go through so much to get there.
Hmm.
And and that's such a beautiful journey. Honestly, I love hearing convert stories about how they found the church. um and I'm just amazed that it was given to me.
Yeah.
um and I think there's a lot of responsibility there.
Hmm.
Or you can see it that way, you don't have to see it that way, but I do think that I was blessed to have the experiences I did growing up with the parents I did, in the parish I did, and I think there's a lot that can be done with that. So that's one reason I enjoy um, creating events for young adults,
Yeah.
because I think that's kind of a space that uh, we need good events
Hmm.
that help us dig into the faith more, because there's a lot of, I think, you know we all know that a lot of cradle Orthodox children maybe don't take their faith as seriously,
Yep.
because they didn't have to fight into the church.
Hmm.
They didn't have to get through all of that, muck that's in the world
Yep.
to get to the church, and so maybe they kind of take it for granted, um, or never see it for what it is. And so I think that's a huge part of it, is recognizing what you have and then owning the faith yourself,
Yes.
not just receiving it from your parents.
Hmm.
Like, as a child, you take it from your parents. Yes, I go to church, I take communion, I go to confession. This is just what we do. But at some point, you have to say, this is what I do.
Yes.
And this is I'm going to choose a spouse that also prioritizes that, so we can raise children who also prioritize that. Or even I'm going to go to a monastery
Hmm.
so that I can dedicate my life to that in that way. And um which is it's just such an important decision that has to be made at some point in your life.
Yep.
And
Yep.
maybe you don't make it until much later. Maybe you kind of leave for a while and then you come back and say, "Oh, no, no. I had it right the first time." Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
There you go.
Hmm.
Um and I feel really, really blessed um with the circumstances I grew up in, and if I can give some of that blessing to the
Hmm.
people around me, I would be really thankful
Yep.
if I can manage to pass that on.
No, I could feel it off you. Like you definitely mean those words, and you made a lot of interesting points there. One is the responsibility. I didn't really think about it. Well, first of all, I'm the cradle that you described that didn't appreciate it. I didn't understand it, and took it
Yeah.
for granted for sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I had to kind of relearn everything. So I kind of view
Mhm.
myself as a convert, really.
Mhm.
Like I took catechesis with your father online,
Mhm.
and
Yeah, yeah.
he taught me so much things I should have known. So
Yeah.
speak on the responsibility, because you sound like you were raised from the beginning being faithful and understanding that there's something going on here that's important, and
Yeah.
that's something that you had to like kind of pass on to others, if I could put it that way.
Mhm.
Speak of
Mhm.
this responsibility, because I really like that you said that.
Yeah. Well, I think that, I mean, obviously, the most spiritual formative thing in your life is going to be your parents, at
Mhm.
least, for the first part of your life. And so, for starters, I had parents who prioritized the church and everything.
Yeah.
Their motto raising us was seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and all else shall
Mhm.
be added unto you.
Mhm.
So we were homeschooled, and that meant, we set school aside to go to the feast days,
Mhm.
to go to the, vigils, to go to, liturgies. And we got the school done.
Yep. Yep.
You can kind of make that happen with homeschooling. But the priority was to be living the life of the church, right?
Mhm.
The rhythm of the church, the
Mhm.
feasts, the fasts. And and when that is the center of your upbringing, when that is the rhythm of your life, um, I think it sinks deeper into your heart,
Oh yeah.
um, because you recognize that this is not just a hobby.
Yes.
It's not
Mhm.
just kind of like a hobby we do on the weekends. Um, so I would say for me, next to who raised me, the most formative thing spiritually for me was every summer, me and my sisters would go to St. John the Forerunner Monastery in Goldendale, Washington, the Greek women's monastery there. And we would spend weeks there every summer before we went to see my grandma in Washington. And you would enter into the life of the monastery, the rhythm, the work, the services, and then you would just be surrounded by the nuns who are
Mhm.
constantly praying and constantly dropping pearls of wisdom all the time. You
Yeah.
just walk past one and they make this little comment, and you're like, oh. It's just like in passing, casually,
Yeah. Yeah.
I have so many memories of them just making this comment in passing, and I can't forget it, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
I can never forget it. Um, and they would just and sometimes at night, they would tell the girls who were staying there stories, like miracles that had taken place. They had recorded them all, and like they would tell them, they had found and collected from different volumes, different books, different news articles, whatever. And you would just leave the monastery so fired up to be a
Mm.
better Christian, to
Yep.
participate in the life, just realizing I can make a difference in my own life, and I can make a difference in the lives of people around me by being a good Christian.
Mhm.
I every time I would go home from there being like, I am going to be a better Christian. I'm going to be a better daughter. I'm going to be a better sister. I'm going to be a better friend. It's kind of like a New Year's resolution, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you start out strong and then it fades, but that's part of it. Is like you have to relight that fire.
Mhm.
And and I think that that immersion at the monastery was just so incredibly spiritually formative for me, and I would say for my sisters as well. um and I think it just makes you aware of the treasure that you have.
Mm.
Like when you hear the
Mhm.
nuns talking about the beauty of orthodoxy, the martyrs who died for their faith, the people who sacrificed for their faith, the people who put, their faith above everything else, you're just like, I cannot take this for granted.
Yep.
Like so many people don't have this. And this was placed in my lap at my birth,
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
know? And how can I possibly take this for granted? That it would be such a shame, you know? And so I think that it just makes you really cognizant of that, and how you take responsibility for that, I think looks different for different people,
Okay.
you
Yep.
know? Um, so, for my older sister, she's the choir director at our parish. She does a
Mhm.
really, really, really good job. She's at almost all the services, she's married, she's has a baby girl. Um, so, that's her ministry,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Um, and what that looks like for me is a little different. Um, but I think it's important to recognize that you have to take that responsibility for your life and
Yes.
for your faith, because you have free will and only you can make those decisions.
Mhm.
And how those decisions you make will affect the people around you.
Oh, you answered that so well.
Thank you.
No, no, really. I like it. I said it earlier. I'll say it again. You exude what you believe. Every word that you chose and how it came out, there's like power to it. So like, I really like where you're going with this. So your ministry and your
Mhm,
responsibility, how you see it, kind of all
mhm,
come together. Obviously, it has a lot to do with the conference.
mhm,
We can start going that direction. But when did you start realizing that you had this responsibility, like to figure out what your ministry is? So you gave the example of your sister, and you said that that's her ministry. At what
mhm.
point were you like sitting around going, "Well, what's my ministry? Like, what am I going to do, and how am I going to be responsible and like get this out there?" How did
Yeah.
that come about?
Well, I think there are a lot of factors that played into it. Part of it was me becoming a more social person.
Hmm.
I wouldn't say I was ever, well, when I was, 2, I was antisocial. When I was little, like
Yeah.
0 to 5, maybe 0 to 6 or 7, I, hated people. Not really, but I didn't talk.
Yeah.
I didn't talk. I just looked at people, and they're always shocked when they hear that because now I'm such a talker. um, and so when I was in my mid-teens, I started taking fiddle lessons
Okay.
um, from um, from a man named Jim Wood in Tennessee, and we did Skype lessons. And he was always trying to get me to go to jam sessions
Uh-huh.
because
Uh-huh.
he said you can't really learn the fiddle
Yep.
unless you play with people. That's the heart of it,
Hmm.
right? You
Hmm.
have to participate in that. And I was like, no, I'm going to look stupid. I'm not going to go play my fiddle. I can't just join in a jam session like that.
Yeah.
And he kept pushing me and pushing me. I was like, no, no, no. And so finally he was like, okay, well, let's take a step back. I want you to do things this week that make you uncomfortable, that push you outside of your comfort zone. And so I was thinking, okay. And he'd say, okay, next week, I'm going to ask you what you did every single day to push you outside of your comfort zone. And one of the easiest things for me to do, like most accessible things for me to do, was to talk to strangers because at
Mm.
the time I was rock climbing. And I don't know if you've ever done rock climbing, but it's a very social sport.
Yeah.
People sit around, they chat, they climb routes, indoor rock climbing. And then at church, right? There were a lot of new people coming in. And and so I would have that, moment where I'd be standing at church and think, am I going to go up and talk to that stranger? And I would have that kind of queasy feeling like, what if it
Yeah.
gets awkward? What if
Yeah.
I say the
Yeah.
wrong thing? What if we run out of things to talk about? And we just stand there looking at each other, and and I had to like grab that and just basically say, shut up
Yep.
and move my feet
Hmm.
without thinking about it. And then I kind of developed like, okay, I had like a little spiel, like where are you from? A lot of them were college students. Are you studying? Where are you studying? Do you enjoy it? And you can build a conversation off of that. And so the more I did that, the more social I got, the more comfortable I got with strangers. Um, and that kind of played into me enjoying social events and then
Mm.
kind of getting involved with young adult things. Because those were, even when I was like 16, those were the people I hung out with. Because in a mission, you may have friends your age and you may not.
Yep.
And I hung out with my older sister, who was 2 years older than me. And she hung out with people who were older than her. Growing up, my best friend was like 4 years older than me, you
Mm.
know? And so I already hung out with the age group that was older. So around 16, I was already interested in young adult things. Um, you know, Get-togethers, game nights, that sort of thing. And so it happened very naturally. And
Mm.
I wouldn't say there was a day I woke up when I said, "Oh, this is my mission," or "This is how I take responsibility." It was just that when I felt that desire to share, the faith, to share meaningful things I learned from the monastery, from my parents, with other people, um, it made sense that they were people around my age, and it made sense that would take place in the context of a retreat or something.
Right. That
Um,
makes sense.
that's socializing,
Hmm.
getting
Hmm.
people together and just having a good time, you know. Um, So it started with just like weekend retreats, and there would be maybe one lecture, and and then we would just socialize for the weekend. Go to services and hang out, and so that's that. When people enjoyed that and that was successful, after a few of those, I was like, okay, I want to do something where we really bring in speakers who have really important things to say,
Hmm.
who really get these young adults fired up to participate in the life of the church in the way the monastery fired me up, you know?
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I see that connection.
Hmm.
So like, because I heard you when you had like that little After Bucks show last night. There was like a little
Hmm.
blurb. You guys were talking, and you made an emphasis on community and building it around young adults and all that stuff. And I really liked that, a lot of the things you said, because that's kind of what we're trying to do on my side of what we're trying to build on my side of things. And community is a
Yeah.
huge part of it. And
Yeah.
having it kind of more of like a chill thing, the way you're describing it, where it's
Hmm.
kind of everyone kind of socializing, celebrating, fellowship, and kind of really trying to just bond on a different level. With young adults, do you see any challenges that are a little bit different than the older people like myself and Buck?
Hmm. I mean, I think that probably the people you and Buck's age,
Hmm.
if they're in the church, they're in the church.
Mm. Hmm.
Typically. I mean, there are exceptions,
Yep.
but I think those people are really consciously in the church.
Yep.
They've decided that, and and they're starting to impart their wisdom to the younger generation, right?
Hmm.
And at my age, this is where a lot of people stop going to church.
Good point.
They're adults.
Yep.
They want to go see the world, want to go see what the world has to offer, and if the church isn't really in their heart and in their soul and their mind, that temptation is very strong.
Yep.
And so I think it's a really important age, because the young adults are the ones who are getting married and having kids right now, and those
Mm.
kids are the next generation of orthodoxy, and how they are raised determines who is going to be upholding the church 20, 40 years from now.
That's a great point.
um
Great point.
so I think that the challenge is maybe, people who young adults who are kind of on the fence. Maybe they like the church, maybe they like the social aspect, but they're not really committed to the church. They need to get off the fence,
Yeah.
you know. They need to see why their heart needs to be lit on fire for Christ,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Um, so I don't know if that answers your question, but
Oh yeah, it really does. And I think that it's really important what you're doing, because I didn't really think about it that way. But you're right. That age group, that in between age group between like teenager and like adult, is
yeah,
where people get lost.
yeah,
They want to go out, like you said, have experiences, travel or whatever,
yeah,
and they kind of put their faith on the back burner. I know I certainly did. I mean, my story's a bit different, but it is that age where
yeah,
if you don't make it part of your life, and like you said, they're going to be the ones having the kids that are they're going to be raising the next generation, and the future
yeah,
of the church depends on how these young adults kind of view their faith. And like you keep saying, their hearts on fire. I love that, because like that's so true. Um,
yeah,
so your event that you have coming up, so I'm just kind of throwing it in there because it just seems
yeah,
like it's so part of your story. Like and
yeah. It is.
and it seems like the first 20 minutes of this conversation is building to the intent and where you came from, and why this event matters,
Yeah,
and what it's all about. So well, let's
yeah.
just go there. So tell me about the event. What brought that on, and like what are your goals there? And we'll break it down. We'll break it down because I'm really
Okay.
excited. And by the way, I'm gonna do my best to be there. I think I'm gonna say
That'd
90%
be
I'm gonna be there.
that'd be great.
and I'll definitely
Yeah,
be a
we would
vendor.
love to have you there. Um, yeah, so I mean, like I said, I was doing these kind of casual young adult retreats,
Yep.
and I had been to I mentioned this to Buck the other night. I had been to a couple of conferences, sort of. I had been to the St.
Yep.
Cosmas Education Conference.
Mhm.
And that was so, so good. Definitely larger scale than this. But that was a really great experience. And then I would go to I'd been to hear Father Josiah Trenum talk in
Mhm.
Houston twice. Um, and so, and then we had had our little retreats, and I've seen plenty of conferences like advertised, taking place. And I just thought, I want to create something that really changes people,
Mm.
like that gives them, and I know that's kind of cliche.
Mhm.
And it doesn't have to, it's not like a switch needs to be flipped, but
Mhm.
um sometimes you need that kind of that extra push. And I just started thinking, I know so many priests and speakers who have, like, I've heard all these individuals speak individually.
Mhm.
And I would always think, oh, I wish the whole Orthodox world could hear what this priest or speaker is saying right now.
Yeah.
Um, and how I wish that feeling in my heart of how it's affecting me could be shared with everyone. And and so I thought, well, I've done this sort of retreat format before. And then our parish, we started hosting an annual gala to help with fundraising. And so we kind of, and I was a part of that. And so I had helped with the organization of, you know, uh, just everything that goes into a gala. I did a lot of, I organized like the raffles and silent auction items, seating charts. You have to make sure you have all your numbers right. And which I didn't usually do that part, but I am for this conference. And let me tell you, math is a subject that I didn't do great in.
Me too.
Um,
Me too. I get it. I get it.
um, so I don't know. It happened. It formed very naturally. It was back in, I think it was around February, January, that I just started thinking about it. I was like, I could do this. Like, I could pull this together.
Mhm.
And I started thinking, who would I have speak? And so and what would I have them speak on? And it was at a time where I just felt like there were some things young adults really needed to hear
Mhm.
about responsibility.
Yep.
Honestly, was a huge
Yep.
one. Is I really feel like there's a lot of apathy, I feel like right
Mm.
now.
Yeah.
With the world, it's like, oh, can't change anything. The world is
Mhm.
so evil. There's despondency. Social media creates a lot of despondency, I think, 'cause you have access to so much information, things you wouldn't have access to otherwise. So many news events and stuff. And I think it just kind of engenders this sense of apathy.
Yes.
Like, what does it
Yes.
matter? Why try?
Yep.
I'll go to church, I'll go to confession, I'll go to communion, but why really try? Right. And and I hate that. Like, I
Me too.
really, I really hate apathy. You have to throw yourself into it. You have to go all the way. You can't sit on the fence. And you can make a difference, right?
Mhm. Yep.
You can make a difference for other people. And something I really loved, I went to hear Father Josiah, I think it was in February when he was in Houston, and he was talking about the responsibility of parishioners to each other. He was talking about the responsibility
Yeah.
of parishioners to their priests, to their parish, and to each other. And he said something that really stuck with me. He was talking about the responsibility. Let's see. He said, and don't quote me, but I think it was to this effect, that you have to ask yourself, if every other parishioner at church contributed and participated to the level I did, would the church be stronger or weaker for it?
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
And I
Oh,
was
that's
like,
good.
wow.
That's good.
And I think if we're
Uh-huh.
all honest,
Yep.
probably a lot of us would say weaker,
Yep.
you know?
Yep.
Because because I think there's just this level of irresponsibility now. There's this flakiness. That's the thing. Flakiness drives me crazy. Like when you commit to something, commit. And
Yep.
I'm guilty of it too.
Mhm.
I'm guilty of it too. But people are counting on you.
Mhm.
Even if it's a small thing, people are counting on you. And he said, let's see, the other thing he said was your responsibility to your fellow man, loving the person in front of you. When you walk to church, don't get overwhelmed. Like, I can't change everyone's lives. I can't do all of this. Love the person in front of you
Yep.
right now.
Good
When you
advice.
walk to church and that person is standing in front of you, don't be like, okay, how can I change? How can I change things love the person standing right in front of you?
Mhm. Mhm.
I think we kind of lose sight of the small things that we can do to make a difference. And I kind of got away from the topic of the conference, but just
No.
all of this kind of pulled together. And I was just thinking, I really, I want to create a conference where maybe we'll hear some hard truths,
Mhm.
you know?
You got Father.
Um,
You got Father Turbo there. You're gonna hear some.
yeah, yeah. So, and this is how I kind of created my lineup was actually I have a flyer sitting right here
Perfect.
unintentionally. We've got Father Turbo, of course.
Yeah.
Um, Father Justin Havens. Um, he was in Utah. Now he is in Bulverde, Texas. And my family has known him for many, many years. And funny enough, I didn't actually attend a service that he served at until this past year or so when they were in
Mm.
Texas, because we were always passing through and we would visit them on our way to Washington. So we didn't always catch a service. And I was listening to him, preach, and that fire is there.
Yeah.
It really is. And when you see someone who's speaking with that fire and that zeal, it lights your fire.
It does.
Um, and then naturally, Father Justin Frederick,
Mhm.
my dad at our parish. I think he also speaks some hard truths.
He does.
Um,
Yep.
and uh, and then Dr. Mark Tarpley, who I don't know if you've ever heard him speak,
I haven't. No.
but yeah, he also has spoken at the St. Cosmas Education Conference and others as well. He's written, he teaches, and he understands, the phronema of the church and the importance of tradition in the church,
Mhm.
which is something else I wanted to touch on is tradition in the church and the importance of
Mm.
upholding that, because that's
Yep.
that's really important, and that's something I received from my parents, but from the monastery.
Mhm. Mhm.
Like they're really upholding the tradition of the
Yep.
church there,
Yep.
and you realize that's important. It's not just for show.
Yep.
It's really important. And so that was kind of how my speaker lineup evolved. And
Sorry to interrupt you there.
yeah, no, go ahead.
What's like the type of what are they going to be speaking on, and how does it
Yeah.
kind of tie together? Because you have some really interesting choices there.
Yeah. So I have yet to have a little conversation with Father Turbo and kind of discuss. I'd like him to talk about something that he really feels called to talk about, and then
Mhm.
I'll kind of fill him in on the other themes. Father Justin Havens is going to talk about marriage and monasticism and choosing that
Mm.
path,
Okay.
how you discern that, and then also he mentioned discussing the blessings of having a large family, because he has
Mm.
10 kids.
Well.
And so
Okay.
he's going to talk about that. And Father Justin Frederick is going to talk about asceticism in the
Mm.
world, for lay people. You hear some lay people say, asceticism is for monks, but it's actually the church is ascetic. It's ascetical, you
Yep.
know. Um, and so I'm going to have him delve into that topic. And Dr. Mark Tarpley is going to talk about tradition in the church.
Okay. Oh, that
Um,
really ties it all well.
Yeah. So, and I'm hoping, in there, maybe in there somewhere, we'll get into young adults more specifically and their participation in the life of the church. But those are kind of the broader topics. So, Yeah,
And you also have Buck Johnson hosting it.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, he will be the MC. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm really looking forward to that. Someone suggested it and I thought about it and I was like, yeah, I really don't want to do that myself, actually.
Yeah.
So that would be
Yeah.
really nice.
Yeah.
I don't want to be responsible for that because I just thought, whatever, I'll just make announcements or whatever. But this works so much better
Yeah.
because I don't actually want to do that.
No, I don't
And
blame you.
he's so good at it. He's so good at what he does, and I think, and it'll be great having him there and contributing to conversations, and so that was kind of how this formed. I will add that, when I created this event, it was important to me um, that I balanced lectures and also fellowship.
Yes. Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
so Thursday night is sort of a meet and greet, social, you might call it. And then Friday night, we're actually going to have dinner and then we're going to do a young adult dance.
Nice.
So, I know a lot of people are like dancing, but I've seen a lot of joy
Wait.
and
What do you mean? What do people say dancing? Like, what do they mean like by that?
oh, well, a lot of people don't like dancing, and I'm talking,
Okay.
we're talking like contra dancing, English
Yeah.
country dancing or classic two-step, you know, um, but some people, I don't know, some people might find it boring or maybe some people find it cringy. I think it's cultured.
No,
Um,
I think that's great that you put that in there because wow, I'm gonna sound like an old guy. But that was such an important part of. It's not even just my generation. Every
yeah.
generation before this
Yes.
generation, like
Yes.
go back to the
Mhm.
Bible. Like
Yeah.
it was always an important way for people to come together
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
have that moment to participate in fellowship, connection.
Yeah.
Husbands and wives meet there before they
Mhm.
become husbands and wives.
Totally. Totally.
You
I
make
mean,
good
how many songs you
friends.
listen to and
Right.
they're like met her at the dance,
Right. Yeah. So
You make good
no.
friends. It's not inherently romantic,
Yep.
It's
Yep.
it's truly a social thing, and that's how for generations we've celebrated together.
Yep.
Is through music and dance. And I think that you get the opportunity to speak with someone, dance with someone, interact with someone
Yes. Yep.
that you might not have otherwise. And
Even sorry to interrupt there again, just because
go ahead.
I think this is such an important part of your
Yeah.
event.
Yeah.
Having the speakers there, kind of setting up the conversation to have
Yeah.
afterwards, and then people kind of coming together to do the dance thing.
Yes.
And then the youth in general, they didn't have those experiences we did when we were when we were younger. We
Yeah.
didn't have a choice. Even if it's not about like meeting a spouse, it's just like the guys that are in the corner, kind of awkwardly, like, should I ask her to
Totally.
dance? Like that's something that's
Yes.
important that they have to build that
Absolutely.
muscle. And the girls are like, oh, is he going to talk to me? And then they start talking,
Yes.
and they become friends, like the girls and the
Yes.
guys, and it creates like these bonds. And
Yes.
I think it's really important. I really like that because you mentioned it with Buck, and I was like, oh, I'm definitely gonna hammer this thing about the
Yeah.
dance. I think it's so important.
Yeah. I mean, I've been to, a lot of events don't have it.
Yep.
A lot of young adult events, that's not a thing they do. But I've been to a lot of like house parties where they do have it, and it's
Mhm.
always such a good time. For me, I love dancing. It's always like the highlight of the night for me.
Me too.
The music comes on and you start doing the Virginia Reel or something, or you know, uh, and I it brings me a lot of joy, or two stepping, to
Hmm.
some really good classic, country music. Um, I just think it's so joyful.
Yep.
And it's a beautiful way to tie together the evening. You hear lectures
Yes.
all day, you have
Yes.
dinner together, you talk,
Yep.
and then you can just decompress.
Yep.
Um, it's kind of it's the after party.
Yeah. Totally. It comes together.
Hmm.
Like I've heard Father Turbo was talking about it in one of his Q&As, the importance of like after service, after divine liturgy,
Hmm.
coffee hour. A lot of people break off and start talking about, so hey, how about that football game and whatever, this and that.
Yeah.
And rarely do people come together to talk about what was discussed the homily. What was service all about? And this event kind of got me thinking about what Father Turbo had said, where because you have all these speakers talking about things that are very important, I could see a lot of people after the event, when they're just kind of socializing, bringing up, hey, Father Justin mentioned this, and what do you think about that? And kind of that kind of creates that that important conversation that we need to kind of carry. And like, also to your point about making our faith not just like something that you do part-time, but something that you live. So those kind of are like little small microcosms of that bigger picture. Sorry, that wasn't really a question. It was more of a comment. That I really like what you're doing. That's what I brought it up that way. An unseen warfare is being waged against us. Spiritual forces of evil have unleashed a relentless social engineering campaign designed to lead humanity down a path of nihilism, apathy, despair, and self-destruction. Their aim is to distance us from God and enslave us to our passions by appealing to our senses and exploiting our desires. Every available medium has been weaponized to this end. Movies, television, music, the printed word, and so on have become vectors of propaganda, deceit, and dehumanization. Truth is inverted, and virtue is replaced with vice in an effort to distort the image of God within us. But we intend to fight back in our own imperfect way by offering an alternative to the current media landscape of godless distraction and overstimulation with a new kind of culture creation. A culture centered on Christ and His church. A culture that promotes community, family, and the life of prayerful struggle through the arts. By creating our own media, music, and video content, we aim to invert their inversion and re-engineer their social engineering. This is the Board No More Network.
Well, yeah. No, I agree. Create space for that. It makes it natural.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to say, "Hey guys, let's set up a time next week to get together and talk about that talk." By then it's like you moved on, right?
Yeah.
But it's about the whole experience. From the beginning to the end. You walk in Thursday night, you meet those new people, you meet the vendors, you see what they're bringing to the conference, you interact, and then you're kind of geared up for Friday. You're like, okay, I'm ready for this to get started. I'm ready to hear some good things. And then you get to do that all over again Friday night with all those people you met, with all those friends you made. It's like it's the after party, after a wedding. This is kind of maybe more of a thing for women, when the women get together after a wedding and maybe they're cleaning up from the wedding. Maybe it's day after the wedding or something, and they're cleaning up, or people are in town and they're socializing and they're just like, that was such a good night. And they're recapping, and they're going over the, funnest moments and things people said and interactions they had. And there's just so much joy and peace in that,
Yeah, that's so true.
So that's kind of how I think of it.
So I totally interrupted you when you got to the dancing thing, because I just thought it was so important. So what were you going to say after that? Because you were going to fill out the rest of the event, and I totally interrupted you. Yeah. Forgive me.
No. That was great. That was a great conversation. I like to give attention to the dance because I think people don't. And I don't mean to dive back into it, but
please, no, I think it's important. I think it's important.
People can think of dance as kind of cringy,
Yeah.
I don't know why, like, oh, you're gonna whatever. It's cultured, It's a part of our culture.
Yes.
It's an inheritance.
Yep.
It's classy. It's joyful, and people need to know how. Like, you should know how. I think everyone should know how to do a basic two-step and a basic waltz. At least if you're in Texas, I just think it's a really, you're at a social setting and you say, let's dance, you know how. You can find the basic beat, and it's just this opportunity to kind of step into the moment
Hmm.
and really participate in the
Yep.
moment.
Yes.
Um, and I think people just think, I don't need to know how to dance. That's so old fashioned. But
No.
also, a guy who knows how to dance gets points, for
Yep.
the record. On a
Very true.
woman's scoreboard,
Yep.
a man
Very
who
true.
knows how to dance gets points. So I think it's a great asset, you know?
No, I agree. I grew up a Greek Canadian here, and I was a big part of
Yeah.
the local Greek thing here. And
Yeah.
I was in a Greek dance group up until I was
Hmm.
21, 22.
Hmm.
I went like later than others,
Hmm.
and I just loved it. Always did.
Yeah.
I don't know how to two step, so when I'm moving to
Yeah.
Texas, so I got to learn. So I'm
There you
happy to.
go. There
But
you
like
go.
dancing was such a huge part of my life. Like
Hmm.
and the faith always connected with it. Obviously, like you we had priests always around and this and that. So it was always great to see how after service and all that stuff, and then they have like a festival, a Greek festival. They would
Hmm.
always the priests were always a big part of it. They'd always be either like dancing or clapping. I know some people have an issue with some priests dancing, but I personally don't. But anyways, that's the point I'm trying to make is, yeah, you're right. It does get you credits with the ladies. It does, but it also builds like this weird confidence, both for the men
Oh
and the
yeah.
women. And it's
Oh
something
yeah.
that's I think so. Maybe
Absolutely.
the people are thinking it's cringy because they're so separated from it culturally the last couple of generations. They
Yeah.
don't see the value, and also I think they're scared. I think they're
I think they're
scared.
afraid to look stupid. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a skill,
yeah,
And it's like me not wanting to participate in the jam sessions. Like, what if I
right,
misstep and I look bad?
right, right.
What if I don't know how to perform that spin
Yep,
and it makes me look stupid? Who cares?
yep, yep.
Who cares? You
Agreed,
know?
agreed.
So yeah, I that's an important part of it for me, honestly. And I
Okay.
really hope people will participate. But yeah, so we'll have a few meals together. Not all the meals are provided, but there are a few meals provided, and we will conclude the weekend. Technically, I think the lectures will end Saturday night,
Hmm.
and we will have vigil and liturgy. But I'm really hoping people will stay through the weekend and celebrate the divine liturgy together. It's really,
Yes,
it's
yes.
the height,
Yep,
right?
yep.
And then fellowship with St. Maximus.
Yes,
People from
yes,
a different
yes,
parish, a different community
yes.
that you don't know, and people from St. Maximus who don't know all these young people, and you make
Yep.
connections and you network and you have another community.
I
And
do
so I
know.
think that's
That's
really
it's my
special.
community from
Yeah,
afar,
there
from
you
afar.
go.
So I do know. I
Exactly.
do know.
Exactly. So I hope people will stay through the weekend. Because again, it's the post-wedding party.
Yeah,
You just
yeah,
had an awesome weekend,
yeah.
and you're just, you go to liturgy, you commune together, and then you have coffee and food after liturgy, and you're just like, that was such a great time. We can kind of
Absolutely.
trickle out at our leisure. Not this event is over, go home.
Oh no, totally. And I'll help you sell Saint Maximus on this and the event, and for people to stay for Divine Liturgy. We're coming to Texas in a couple of weeks.
Oh,
We're gonna be
good.
filming a show that's gonna be on Logo Cinema, and
Oh,
we're
awesome.
we're hitting Waco, Lockhart. We're visiting Justin Marler and Buck Johnson, and then I purposely left Denton last. Forgive me, Buck and Justin, for this. Reason being is I wanted to do Divine Liturgy at St. Maximus because
Yeah.
honestly, I've been there 4 times now, 3 or 4 times now, and
Yeah.
it's changed me. That community
Yeah.
is so tight, it's so great. As our dear brother Dave Sims likes to call the current building until they move to the other one, he calls it Aya Sofa because it has like a living room feeling to it, and like
Yeah.
it's such a heartwarming place. I have
Yeah.
so many great memories there. Only have
Yeah.
been there 4 times. So I
Yeah.
just want to let everybody know, like, go to this event and definitely stick around for liturgy at Saint Maximus the Confessor. It's a game
Yeah.
changer.
Yeah.
It really is.
Well, and I have two things to say about that. First of all, it is smashed. We are crammed in there. And there
Yeah,
really there
yeah,
there isn't really room
Yeah.
for a bunch of guests. But you know what? We flood out into the hall. We have the speakers on. We can stand in other places, and I think that's beautiful too.
Yes.
And you know what? If someone goes to our liturgy and they're like, they really need a new church, you can just write a check real quick.
There you go.
Maybe that experience will
Yeah.
just, give you a little bit of, you know,
Oh yeah.
a little compassion for us, and you'll just feel a little bit more motivated. But growing up, I had the same thoughts. I was like, there is no parish like St. Maximus. There
Yeah.
are no, I mean, when I say I was blessed by my parents growing up and my community, truly, like, our parish has been so good to my
Mm.
family. So good. And I know not all priests have that. And I just, growing up, I couldn't imagine being anywhere else. I was like, this is literally the best community on earth. And as I got older, I
Yeah.
realized, these good people are everywhere. It's
Yes.
about,
Yes.
it's about finding them and connecting with them. Because then I started visiting other parishes and I met good people. And for a second, I couldn't reconcile that. I was like, how
Mhm.
can there be these amazing people in other places? And as I got older, I was like, no, there are good people everywhere. Um, and there are those communities everywhere, but I do truly feel so blessed to be a part of St. Maximus, because I do think there's something special there.
You know what? You said something. We're starting a conversation here. This is awesome. You know what? When I came back, I was living in Mexico for 4 years, and then actually, my first time out of Mexico was to Denton. While I
Oh,
was there,
wow.
yeah. So I was like, okay, this is great. This is awesome. And then I came back to Toronto, Canada. I'll leave the politics out of it. Am I really happy to be here? I'm looking to move to Texas. I'll leave it at that. So when I got here, like you mentioned despondency, I fell into that myself, and
Yeah.
half of it was me just being stubborn and not just. I'm here for a reason. God is everywhere. His people are everywhere, and I kind of think I just went
Yes.
into like my own little thing. I'll leave it at that. I didn't want to be here. And then I finally
Yeah.
started making my way out of here. I mean, I was going to church, but I wasn't
Hmm.
trying to participate in the community. In the back of my head, stubborn man, I was like, I'm just here for a short time. I'm leaving. And
Yeah.
I would say about 6 months ago, I started being like, no, I'm here. Let me participate. And I found a really
Yeah.
wonderful church here, and I've made it my home here. And to your point there, I think you make a really great point, and that's a big reason why I'm excited to get on the road and kind of visit a bunch of different parishes. Is I met some really great people here. And they do, this particular place that I'm at does remind me of St. Maximus in this way of, like, forgive me, Father Justin, if you're watching this, but it's kind of got like a little bit of a DIY feel. I don't mean that. I don't mean that. And like, I mean, like, it's kind of
No,
like,
I know
you know
what
what I
you
mean?
mean. Yeah. Yeah,
It's in a
totally.
living
I
room.
do.
It's in a
Yeah,
living room, right? So
totally.
the church that I've been attending here, it has that feeling.
Yeah.
And the priest there reminds me of the kind of environment
Yeah.
Father Turbo sets, Father Justin sets, which is like a homely place where people
Hmm.
can kind of get together. And I love Father Justin's style, which is kind of, to me, kind of stoic with this huge smile. Like, Father Justin,
Yeah.
he'll have like the stoic face, but then you'll say something and his face lights up like a child, and it's like that
Yeah.
that balance. And I think that kind of, and the reason why I mention that is like St. Maximus has that feeling to me.
Yeah.
People take everything, they take their church life very seriously there, but at the same time,
Hmm.
there's just a lightheartedness about it.
Yeah.
And the parishioners, they're very welcoming. They take their church life seriously, but they're welcoming and they're chill. So I don't know if it's
Yeah.
okay that I said
Well,
it that way.
no, no, absolutely. And I think going off of what you said, the DIY feeling, like, when you are in a temporary space, or you're in, or
Mhm.
or when you're a smaller parish or a mission, or we're growing now, but you have to pull together.
Yes.
You have to participate,
Yes.
and you have to, like, we don't pay a cleaning team. We
Hmm.
clean ourselves.
Hmm.
We decorate ourselves.
Hmm.
We What is at the church is contributed by people at the church. What is
Yep.
accomplished at the church is
Yep.
participated. I mean, is created by that community there.
Yep.
And that, that's another thing, is people are like, I don't really have a community. I don't really like my community. I don't really feel like I belong. Well, you know what? Participating and contributing actually creates that feeling of belonging. You
So
start
true.
to feel like you belong somewhere where you contribute, you participate, and you have a role
Yes.
and you have responsibilities. Like people think of responsibilities as this burden, but it's actually beautiful because
Mhm.
it's a sign that your involvement is important.
Yep.
That your contributions are important. And maybe that's not money. Maybe it's just your time. Maybe it's your talents. Maybe you're a plumber or an electrician or you're an artist or and you have everyone has something they
Mhm.
can contribute. And I think that's one thing that a lot of young adults are lacking. Maybe they think, "Ugh, I don't really have money, I'm in school, like I can't," no, like put your time and your talents in there, and you're going to feel this sense of belonging and not ownership, because obviously we don't own the church.
Yep.
But um like, this is my place, this is my home.
Mhm.
And I think that's a really important feeling, because why would you fight for something if you don't care about it,
So true.
right? And if you haven't sacrificed for it, why would you have that desire to fight for it and to preserve it? Which comes back to the church. If you haven't sacrificed for the church, if you haven't fought for her, I mean, you haven't, why would you fight for her?
Yep.
Right? If you haven't sacrificed something. Um, and I think that people kind of, because it's so easy to move around now. Oh, I want to live here. I want to live there. I got a job here. I got a job there. I understand. But it's so easy to move. I don't like the weather here, so I'm going to move. That transiency, it doesn't allow us to dig deep roots. And
Good point. Good
and
point.
there's something to be said for blooming where you're planted.
Yep.
Making the best of where you're at.
Yep.
Is the weather the best in Texas? Heck no. Kidding me? Like, I die
Come
every
up
summer.
here. Come up here.
Yeah.
We'll talk.
But
Yeah.
like, this is my home.
Yeah. Totally.
And as long as God sees fit for me to live here,
Yep.
I'm going to participate here and contribute here and take responsibility for my life and my actions and my faith here.
Yep. I like that.
And that will give you so much peace, I feel like.
Well, that sounds like you're tying together all the themes that you've talked about today.
Yeah.
The responsibility, the fellowship,
Yeah.
the community, and then in particular with the youth, dealing where they're at, meeting God where we're at. As the example you gave of Father Josiah Trenum's example of like deal with the person in front of you. You can also, tie that into what we've just been saying, like me trying to deal with the situation I'm here, and you saying like you're as long as you're in Texas, you gotta make in Denton. Sorry, you have to make it kind of like your home, but participate in the community while you're there. Oh, a little side note: I sent a bunch of people from here to St. Maximus. So like we have like a little bit of a connection with my church here and St. Maximus. I've sent
love that.
2 or 3 people down
that.
to St. Maximus. Anyways, I just thought I'd throw that in there. But
No,
again, it ties everything you're saying and teaching the youth all these things and setting them on fire and setting up things like a conference to bring people together to also kind of get off the whole online thing and meet in person. So back to the conference, is there anything that we skipped over or anything you want to comment about it that I might have not thought of mentioning?
I think we touched on a lot of it, honestly. I will say, if you are an Orthodox vendor, I do have spots open for Orthodox vendors. So, you can contact me.
I'm in.
I would love to see a mix of nonprofits and Orthodox organizations, businesses, that just, because I think it's really cool, and I think it's important for young adults to know what's out there and be able to connect and network and see resources, support small businesses, and just see what is alive in the Orthodox world.
Yes.
Yes,
so. That's actually a very important point. Yeah, we missed that, or I did.
Well, that was a huge part of the St. Cosmas conference I went to. I remember they had so many vendors. And it was
Mhm.
so cool on breaks to walk around this big room full of Orthodox, nonprofits or schools or organizations or businesses that were representing themselves there, and just seeing how much, and I'll say it again, how much is alive,
Yes.
in the
Yes.
Orthodox world.
Mhm.
It was just such a cool thing to see. And I think it just adds this level of interest and community and participation.
Do you have a few more minutes? Because now you just got me
Yeah,
thinking about a whole
totally.
other side conversation I want to have with you on what you're
Yeah,
talking about there with the vendors. Because I mean, it's a big part of what we're
yeah,
trying to do, and like a lot of the people that we've been in contact with in the last little while with how we're trying to develop our business,
yeah,
and so we're definitely gonna be a vendor there for sure,
yeah.
a
That's
hundred
awesome.
percent. But I think that's a very important thing to bring up is that the importance of seeing other Orthodox people, whether they're clergy or they're lay people, having businesses, supporting each other, seeing that there is an actual Orthodox economy out there, and
Yes.
it helps with the mission work. It helps, like,
Mm-hmm.
back to what we were saying earlier, as a responsibility as a cradle is like just by showing that you're a good Christian, it gets people interested in it. So the
Mm-hmm.
business side of it kind of shows younger adults that, hey, there's a whole other thing I can tap into here.
Yeah.
I can make my entire life about the church, from going to services to making sure whatever I'm doing as a business is kind of helping raise the tide, kind of to the
Yeah.
point that Father Josiah Trenham had made, that you mentioned, that if everyone was like you as an Orthodox Christian, would the church be better or worse? it's a
Right.
it's a good example that if we're building ethical businesses and this and that, and being vendors at events like this, it shows people that there's something going on here, and
Yes.
we are all supporting each other. So I think that's
Yes.
a really important thing to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I would love to see, I don't have a ton of room,
Uh-huh.
probably between 10 and 15 vendors, and maybe we'll grow in the future, but I love seeing that support. And I think there are just so many organizations, businesses out there that people just don't know exist,
Yep.
because they're not mainstream or something, and they may discover their new favorite business at
Mm-hmm.
the conference,
Yep. Yep.
or some group of people that's doing exactly what they want to be involved with,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you
I
know?
agree. I agree.
So I would like to see that. Uh,
So it
Yeah.
sounds to me, um, your heart's in the right place. Not that it's my place to say so, but it really does seem that way. Like you have a lot of passion for this. You're fired up, and it's getting me
I
fired up.
am.
And thank you for that. You actually said a couple of things that I needed to hear myself. So I appreciate a lot of the insight that you've shared here. Um, so it really comes through. You are fired up. I could see that helping fire other people up. This event seems far more important than I had realized until I heard you. Because Germanis had told me about it, and I was like, "Oh yeah, it sounds great. It sounds interesting." But it's different when you talk to the person that's behind
Yeah.
it, because I
Yeah.
think that's an important thing. Like someone might have a good idea and concept, but they're not really passionate about it. They're not really into it.
Yeah, totally.
So,
Totally.
and honestly, it's great to see that this is going to spread. I could tell you that for sure. I could see it in your face. You light up talking about this, and I think it's a really important thing for all the youth out there. To go back to your very, very important point, the way that the young adults start their family life now and then they participate in the church will lead to a
Yeah.
generation down the road of other young children, their children that they have,
Yeah.
to really make sure that we have a good, strong foundation as Orthodox Christians moving forward. So I think that's a
Yeah.
really, really important part of what everything you have to say. I think that's the most important because it's the future.
Yeah, it is. It is the future, and it's really important that we recognize, going back to our responsibility. We recognize our
Yeah.
responsibility in forming that future.
I'm gonna, before I ask you to, like, pitch everything and all that, and I say that word pitch because people get scared about it, but no, I think it's important for us to support each other and for us to kind of be comfortable saying, hey, I have a business, I have an idea, I have a conference, help me out. I think that's really important. So before I get to
Yeah.
that part of it, this popped in my head right now, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna ask her. So what's on your mind lately? Like, is there something on your mind that's either concerns you, or something that you're kind of like rattling in your head that you find interesting? You seem like a good thinker, and I like hearing what good thinkers think about. What are you thinking about?
Wow, that's a big question.
It is, and I like that I threw you off.
Yeah, you did. Um, I've been thinking a lot about a person's mission in
Mm,
life. I
mhm,
mean, it ties. I mean, obviously, because I'm working on this conference right now, and and how you give yourself to Christ, right? Like I said, my oldest sister, her ministry is the choir, right? But she's a wife and a mother too, right? So even if she dropped the choir, that's a huge. And I think, you know, a lot of Orthodox women, their goal, they want to be wives and mothers, and I do too. Right now, I have a lot of time and energy for this sort of thing.
mm,
Um, and so, it's kind of rolled around in my head, like, what will that look like further on, um and how might this ministry expand, um and just the importance of keeping it real.
mm,
I think a lot of things can get, conferences, or conversations can get really abstract, theoretical, and you can have like the best conversation and not change a thing about your life.
mhm,
you know um and I think it tends to happen, maybe it tends to happen when things get really big and really, sort of, like, if a conference gets huge scale, it's like 1,000 people attend, right? It's less of that DIY feel, where people feel truly, um committed, and like they're participating. And I'm kind of wandering around here, but
No, you're really not at all. Keep going.
okay, good.
No, you're really not. You're nailing this. I'm so happy I asked you. Keep going.
I think, I mean, it would be awesome, if this conference grew into something. I created sort of a brand around this conference. I'm kind of front loading for success.
Mhm,
So that's why I created a website, a name, a logo. The Temple Steps is the name of the organization.
mhm,
Salt of the Earth is the name of the conference.
mhm,
And so it's kind of front loading for success. If this conference is successful, it could launch into a lot of different things. It could look like a lot of different things. But it's really, really important to me that it never becomes something that's just transactional or business oriented. That like I said, you're staying real. Like, you truly feel like participating in an event like that is participating in the life of the church in a way, and
mhm,
and it all comes back for me to my experience at the monastery.
mm,
Like, I wouldn't be who I am today if I hadn't gone. And that's what I tell people sometimes, if I could give a person any one piece of advice, just, without knowing anything about anything, right? Everyone's different. But if there's one piece of advice I would tell every person, married, single, convert, cradle, spend time at a monastery.
yeah, I gotta do that.
Find a good monastery and spend time there, because
Yep.
they're really preserving the faith. They're really upholding the tradition, and their hearts are aflame with
Mm,
love for Christ,
mhm,
because
mhm,
that's what their whole life. It's so
yep.
easy to get distracted in the world. My job, my spouse, my kids, it can be distracting. And at the monastery, they are aflame with that love for Christ, and that's contagious.
Yep.
You know, um,
Amen.
and and so I think that there's nothing contrived about going to the
Mm,
monastery and living the rhythm of
mhm,
that life,
mhm,
or participating, even if you're not, a novice or something, participating in the rhythm of that life. There's nothing contrived about it. A conference can be contrived. It can
mhm,
be.
mhm.
I mean, it's kind of inherently like you put it
Yeah,
together. You made it happen, right? So in a sense, it's contrived. So it's kind of important to me that you maintain that sense of rhythm and that natural feeling, which is why I was trying to balance, speakers, lectures, vendors, socializing, dancing, church. Because I wanted to imitate that, I don't know, that rhythm of life,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I guess that's a long way of saying it's just that's kind of been on my mind. Like how do you preserve that integrity? Um and then, I don't know how this might take off. I don't know the success. I don't know what next year might look like. Um, I think going back to different people's ministries, if this is something I feel really called to, it's something I could do while also being married and a
Mm-hmm.
mother,
Mm-hmm.
if God blesses. Um and I think that's cool. I think that's really neat that it's something that I could continue if I wanted. Um and just really not knowing what next year is going to look like.
That's the
Been in my
best.
head a lot.
That's the best.
I don't know what next year is going to look like,
Yeah.
and sometimes that's scary.
Yeah.
Like a
I
lot
know.
could change.
Uh-huh.
Um and you really really have to keep yourself focused on right now.
Yeah.
Like, what am I
Yep.
doing right now?
Yep.
Coming back to loving the person in front of you. You
Yep.
know. Um yeah, so that's what's been on my mind.
No, I'm really happy I asked you that. I'm really
Yeah.
happy I asked you that. Like that's it's just some really important things there. I'm really happy I asked you that. So sorry for throwing you off there and kind of
No,
putting you
that's
on the spot.
okay.
But usually I
That's
find
okay.
those are like the best like the best answers you get, right? And
Yeah.
I have a feeling we're gonna work together. We should do
Yeah.
a like a combination thing. We'll talk about that later
I
because
would love that. That would be awesome.
we were gonna set up something a couple years ago in Denton actually, but we just couldn't get to it.
Yeah.
A lot of things were going on, but we wanted to kind of put like a show on with conferences and this and that.
Oh yeah.
We'll talk. We'll talk. We'll talk.
Yeah.
We'll talk. We'll
That'd
talk.
be great. That would be great.
Okay. So before we go, plug it, please. Don't feel
Okay.
weird about it. Go for it. Where do people go to find out more? How
Yeah.
can they help? Register, all
Yeah.
that stuff. When's it happening?
Totally.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yep. Yes. So you can go to the website, thetemplesteps.com. That's where you can find the registration. You can find there's a Q&A there for questions you might have. You can contact me if you have questions that aren't answered, thetemplesteps@gmail.com. That email is also on the website. Um, we have we have probably about 250 openings, like spots. Um, and yeah, I think the biggest help is sharing.
Mhm.
I would love to
Mhm.
see this. I know this sounds ambitious. I would love to see this be a national conference.
Mm.
Like I would love to see this be like the pan Orthodox national young adult retreat conference to go to.
Love it. Yeah.
And so and the way to do that, you have to share it. Um, there are hotel blocks you can find. I said this on Buck's show the other
Mhm.
night. There are hotel blocks. If it were me, I would get a group of friends who wants to come and book an Airbnb and split the cost. That's what I would do. I think that would be the most cost effective thing. There are two hotels. I will say one of them includes breakfast, one of them does not. So maybe take a look at that, if that's important. Um, so yeah, I mean, don't I know it's a financial commitment, but don't be afraid to come from. I have a friend coming from Washington for it. Um,
That's awesome.
yeah, so I would really, really love to see people from all over the United States come. And so just share it, if this sounds like something that you're interested in, or even if it's not something you're interested in, just share it with people because you never know who who might be looking for something exactly like this. So that's the best way. That's the best way to support it right now. Of course, if it's something that sounds really something you would really like to support, um, and someone out there wants to sponsor parts of the event, you know, email me there's plenty you could sponsor, but yeah, just sharing
Okay.
the word is the biggest thing, I think. And attending. Yeah, register.
For
Come
sure.
support. Come see what it's going to be all about. We talked about it, for an hour, but like come experience it, you know. Be there.
Um,
Don't miss it. Don't miss this. Don't let it be the conference everyone talks about and you didn't go to. And it was so fun. And you were like, I didn't go there, man.
Well played. I like
So,
that. That's true though. That has happened to
yeah.
me. That has happened to me. So it's true. It has happened to me.
Yeah,
So
totally.
that's a very good point to. And I didn't know that you were going to be on Buck's thing. And yesterday
Yeah.
I did a live stream right after that, and then
Yeah.
someone mentioned it, and I went back. I'm like, hey, I'm having her on tomorrow. So I'm actually going to message Buck right now and ask
Yeah.
him to send me that clip, and I'm
Yeah.
going to actually tie it into this.
Perfect.
Because
Great.
it follows and it flows well,
Yeah.
and you said a
Yeah.
lot of things there too. So definitely gonna, and I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be there for sure.
I'm so happy to hear that.
For
And
sure.
and this is the first one.
Yeah.
So you can be at the founding of this new event.
True.
You could be that person who said, "Oh yeah, I was there at the first one." Yeah, good times, when they were small potatoes, I was there.
And then all of a sudden, 2,000 people attending. I like it. I like how you think. I like how you think. No, we got to think. We got to think
Absolutely.
big like that. Like, I
Totally.
mean,
Absolutely.
it's important to get the message out there, and it's an important
Yes.
cause. It's an important cause. So I know I'm going to be
Thank
sharing
you.
it and making
Thank you.
my efforts to kind of fill it up for you. So I'll do my
I
best.
appreciate that. We do have an Instagram account now.
Okay.
It's the_temple steps. So just kind of, that just posting some little information about that. And that's a great way for people to share.
Okay.
Obviously social media is a huge form of communication now. So I think a lot of people look up if they hear about an event, they look it up on social media. I do that to see if they
Me too.
have an account where they're posting updates about the event. They'll hopefully post event. We'll have content to upload so you know what you missed out on. So yeah, that's another spot you can go to.
I'll make
So,
sure I get
yeah.
all those links from you, and I'll put
Yeah.
them all in the description, and
Perfect.
we'll make sure we get the message out there. Thea,
Perfect.
thank you so much for this conversation. It was awesome. It was awesome. You nailed
Thank
it.
you. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate the opportunity to talk about it and just express my excitement over it and share that.
You certainly did that. You definitely spread that excitement for sure. And
I
you were nervous
appreciate
for
it.
no
Thank you.
reason, right?
I was.
Right? Am I right? Like we're at the end. I said I called you out on their nervous thing, but there was no
Yeah,
reason to
yeah.
be nervous, right?
I know. I
Yeah.
know. I mean, it's I think people will probably, listening to the whole episode, if they listen to the whole episode, they'll hear a difference between the first half and the second half. Because the first half I was like, I was talking real slow. I was like, I need to say the right thing,
No, I think that was in your head. You didn't come off nervous to me at all.
Okay, good. I'm
Other
glad
than
to
the
hear
first
it.
couple of like I'd say the first minute. After that, it didn't.
Yeah.
You weren't nervous. Not at all. Not at all.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that.
Okay.
I'll
You
have to thank my fiddle teacher for that.
definitely. What did you say? His name was Tim Wood.
Jim Wood.
Jim Wood.
Yeah.
He's good advice, Jim Wood. Man, like
Yes.
I'm a musician myself. Oh, we should jam when I get down there. But
Oh yeah, that would be great.
let's
That
do
would
it.
be great. I play
Let's do
fiddle
it.
and mandolin. People should
Okay.
bring their instruments to the
Okay.
event.
All right.
bring your instruments.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do
I
it.
love a good jam session.
Okay. Absolutely.
So
All right. Have yourself a great day, and thanks again.
thank you so much, Mano. I appreciate it.
No problem.
I'm here with Thea Frederick, and she's about to tell us about a conference that she's brave enough to take responsibility and put on herself. I will be a part of it as well. It is called the Salt of the Earth Conference. And Thea, I'll let you sort of explain what this is and why you're doing it, and who can come to this.
Yes. So I've been hosting smaller young adult gatherings at our church for a few years now, and we've always had a really good turnout. I've attended a few conferences myself, the St. Cosmas Education Conference, and I always thought that was very informative, very edifying, and I really wanted something like that could speak to young adults, especially in a really grounded way that addressed everyday concerns, how to participate in the life of the church, how to be a part of your community, and how to make it better for those around you. So this will be in October 22nd through 25th. It'll take place in Denton, Texas. The exact location is to be determined. Our parish is working on on remodeling a second location, but if the construction is not done, we will move forward at our current location.
And I've already been asked, because I put this out on Instagram, young adults,
Yes.
well, can I come? By people closer to my age. What are we looking at in that regard?
Yes. So that's something I've noticed to be a very interesting thing in Orthodoxy is young adult is a very fluid sort of term. So the minimum age is 18. Unfortunately, at this time, I'm not going to be able to accommodate anyone younger than 18. However, I intentionally did not put a maximum age on it because I've met a lot of adults who consider themselves young adults because maybe they're not married and that's just the social circle they hang with. Or maybe they're 26 and they have 3 kids already and they're not in that social circle and not interested in that. So I didn't put an age range on it. It's going to be sort of a self-policed sort of event. If you spend a lot of time with the young adult community, if you feel like that is an appropriate social circle for you to be a part of, I think there's probably a good chance you will have a great time there. So this year, I'm allowing it to be sort of self-policed. If I see an issue, I may add an age range in the future, a concrete maximum age.
Yes. Luckily for me, there's not an age limit on being the MC of this event or for the beautiful and wonderful speakers, several of them who I know in real life and who have been on this show. So give us the speaker lineup.
Yes. So our keynote speaker is going to be Father Turbo Qualls, and he will be giving 2 to 3 lectures. The schedule's still being ironed out. And then we will have Father Justin Havens from Bulverde, Texas, and he will be giving a couple of lectures as well on the topic of monasticism and marriage and choosing your path. And we will have Father Justin Frederick from St. Maximus giving a lecture. And finally, we will have Dr. Mark Tarpley giving a lecture on tradition in the church and the importance of it.
Wonderful. It's the 22nd of October through the 25th. What are you envisioning the days to sort of look like and flow like?
Yes. So this is where I really wanted to bring in a balance of my past retreats they've been very casual, very laid back, and we've had maybe 1 or 2 lecture homilies from Father Justin Frederick, but it's been more of a social weekend. So I wanted to do a nice balance. So Thursday night will be a meet and greet. We're hoping to have vendors. So currently we have 2 confirmed. And that's another thing. There's no age range on the vendors if you're an Orthodox vendor. So we'll have a meet and greet, maybe a little introduction from our vendors. Friday, there will be lectures. Lunch and dinner will be provided. And Friday night, we'll have a young adult dance, think classic dance and social, just getting to know each other, having the opportunity to have fellowship. Saturday, there will be more lectures. Lunch will be provided. And we'll sort of conclude with a vigil. And hopefully we will have people stay through until Sunday. We can all celebrate Divine Liturgy together. We can have coffee hour together. People who attend the conference can meet the parishioners at St. Maximus and vice versa. So that's my hope.
Wonderful. Places to stay in the area. Are you suggesting any specific hotels or Airbnbs? What would that look like?
Yeah. So I currently at the Temple Steps website, there is one booking link for a room block we secured. And I just secured a second room block at a slightly less expensive hotel. And that should be added to the website shortly. You could find cheaper hotels in the area for sure. I think you should be able to. Or if it were me, I would get a group of friends and get an Airbnb together. I honestly think that may be the most cost-effective way if you have a group of friends who want to attend together, booking an Airbnb and just,
splitting the cost.
Yeah. That's how I would do it if it were me.
Got it. Okay. I will link, and we'll put a link up as this ad airs. What is the website again they can look at?
It's thetemplesteps.com.
Got it. Thetemplesteps.com. People could come to this not knowing each other and in a year or two be married. So
Absolutely.
you never know. You never know. Whatever the case,
I think that'd be
you're
awesome.
gonna have good fellowship, and you're going to hear from fantastic speakers. And I think it's going to be fun. I look forward to it, Thea.
Thank you. Thank you, Buck, so much. We're looking forward to having you.